morning, students. Welcome to English B class today. It shows that you all are doing well. I would like for you all to break up into groups of 4. All right. So when you would have broken up into groups of 4, I would like to send you on a scavenger hunt. So you're going to be going around the classroom today and searching. What you'll be searching for? These items that are on the whiteboard. That is a comb, cotton ball, a bell, an apple, and a perfume. So in your groups, you can scatter and start looking for these items. You have 30 seconds to do so. I'll set the timer on my phone here, and when you hear the timer bell going off, that means it's time for you to reassemble yourselves. For those of you working online, I would have sent a picture of the item that you need to look for, but you need to check your messaging platform. So check WhatsApp, check Time's up, students. So what I need you to do now at this time is to find your seats again. Quickly. Good. Now that you're all in your seats, I do have some sensory cards that I would like for you to fill out. I'll give one to each group, and here's what you'll write on this sensory card. You will describe the item that you would have collected. And notice on each item there was a tag attached to it. So you're going to describe that specific aspect. So some of you might see on the tag you might have smell. For some of you on the tag you might have touch. So you're going to be describing what it smells like, what it feels like, or what it sounds like based on the tag that has been attached. That's what you are going to write in your description here on your sensory cards. And for those of you working online, I'll send you over. You finish filling out your sensory cards. I would like for one person from each group to please take your sensory cards and place it under the corresponding table that you see on the web. Let's take a look at our results then. So one group placed the comb under sight. They said the comb is dark blue in color. Very good. Let me just ask you, class, which sense organ did you use or would you use to describe a comb that is blue? Exactly, your sense of sight, or your eyes to be specific, right? You're correct. Exactly, your ears. So these are all correct. Good job. I'd like to direct your attention to my sensory chart across here. And if you notice on the sensory chart, we have various words such as gustatory, auditory, visual, textile, and olfactory. All right? So just pay attention to that for a while, and then pay attention to what's going on over here. All right? There are some similarities between these columns on the whiteboard and those columns on the sensory chart. But before we get to that, here I have some sense organs, right? And what I would like for you to do, these various sense organs, you notice I have the tongue, the ear, and the eye. What I would like for you to do with them is that I will first of all give one to each group, and then you're going to decide which person from the group is going to take that sense organ and place it correctly on my sensory chart, right under the correct column on the sensory chart, okay? So I'll give out one to each group. Thank you very much for volunteering, and let's just look at our placement of these different sense organs to make sure that they are correct, right? So we have under gustatory, we have nose, and I'll just say that this one is incorrect, and we'll come back to this just now, right? Looking at auditory, hear the word auditory, think of what? Yes, Brian? Audio, exactly. So auditory, what do you use to hear things? Audio? Your ears, right? So this would be correct. And of course, visual is very simple, right? Because you use your eyes to see. So the olfactory usually deals with your sense of smell. All right, your sense of smell. So we know for sure that the nose would need to be removed and placed under olfactory. And when we think about gustatory, this deals with our sense of taste. And so the best place to put this would be under this column. Right? And so now when we look at our sensory chart, each of the sense organs would have been correctly placed. What we'll do next is I would like for, once again, one person from each group to volunteer, and you're going to take your responses from off of this chart that we have here, and then you're going to place them under the correct responses. Making the switch for me, or the transition, and looking at our sensory chart now, we see that under gustatory, the apple was placed, all right? Under auditory, the bell was placed. Under visual, we have the comb, textile, olfactory or olfactory perfume, all right? And so I want to say good work so far. And what do you notice, those students, between this chart and the names that are on there and this chart and the names that are on here? Notice any similarities? Yes, they're actually the same thing, just different words, all right? So I want you to be careful in the future that if you see these big words, so to speak, do not allow it to confuse you. They mean the very same thing as sight, touch, smell, taste, and sound. Okay? Now, what you'll do for me is that you'll take all of the information you've gathered thus far from all the activities that we would have done, and then I would like for you as an individual to think of a definition or a meaning for imagery. After you would have finished thinking about that meaning for imagery, I want you to pair with someone else and share your meaning or your definition for imagery with that person. And then what you'll do is that you'll come back now and share that definition with myself and the class after you would have paired. For those persons working online, I would like for you to do the very same thing. You have 2 minutes to do that. Time to think about the definition or meaning for imagery. I would like for one person to just stand and share their definition with me, all right? Yes, Keon, I see you there. What definition did you come up with or meaning did you come up with for imagery? So you think it is words that writers use to create images in our minds. Very good. All right. Devon, you want to guess at it too? Go ahead, sir. What definition did you come up with? Language that is used by an author that applies, not applies what? Okay, language that is used by an author to appeal to our senses. All right, very good, good. I think those two definitions are two workable definitions that we can use. Now, one definition that I had is that imagery is a vivid, descriptive language that appeals to one or more of our senses. For example, the tall chocolate birthday cake was covered in fudge icing and chased all of these image devices on the right there to these poem extracts, all right? So we need to match the corresponding image device to its correct poem extract. For the persons working online, if you check in the English B WhatsApp group, you'll notice I just sent a link there. Just click on the link and it'll take you to a similar matching game. Please complete that. For those persons who are present in class, well, let's start working. So let's have some volunteers. Joshua, I see you volunteering. Why don't you come and match the first one? Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate the match that you made. Cindy, yes, why don't you come up and match one of my pair? All right, Tracy, why don't you come match the other one? And Jeremiah, yes, why don't you come match the final one? Simon. All right, well, thank you all for matching. But looking at what took place here, I can see we have some problems, right? So let's look at metaphor now, and let's look at this. It is the festival of guns, the carnival of misery, right? So we see that a comparison is being made here without the use of the word like or as. So this is correct. And so we have all four of them correct. Good job, students. Really hope you enjoyed that matching game. Now that you're finished, I would like for you to access your devices. Click on the link that you see present in the English B classroom, and we'll take you to a video that talks about the purpose of imagery. But when you use figurative language to describe things or to explain things, what happens is that that figurative language starts to paint a picture in the mind of an individual. For example, let me show you what I mean. What if you said to your friend concerning the beach that the sandy beach stretched out from the east to the west? You say this to your friend, and your friend immediately will start imagining, a lot of sand all over the place. Long, large amounts of sand. All right? Then, besides just saying to your friend that the sand stretched all the way from the east to the west, you said to your friend that the waves of the ocean crashed. And I gave that to a friend. When I was in Barbados, the sun was like a ball of fire in the sky. So your friend now starts to picture the sun blazing hot, like a ball of fire in the sky. Wow. So, you see, now that you would have explained to your friend about your trip to Barbados using figurative language, notice how in your friend's mind an image has formed about the trip that you had to Barbados, and now your friend can basically see what is going on. And it's only right to examine the figurative language that is on the whiteboard. All right, let us examine it and let us see which figurative language was used to paint this picture. Hyperbole, correct. So let's put that there. And what about this one? The sun was like a ball of fire in the sky. Janessa? A simile. Why do you think it's a simile, Janessa? Right, because a comparison is being made and the word like is being used to make the comparison. Correct? All right, very well. And then the last one, of course, the waves of the ocean crashed against the shore. We know that is onomatopoeia. Very good. And so as we use these primitive device students, we're able to see how they are able to create images in the mind. I have some copies of the poem Dulce et Decorum Est by Wilfred Owen. And what I'll do is I'll give each of you a copy. And once you have collected your copy of the poem, you can start going through it. I will read it for you right after. And then after, I'm going to have you do a little bit of an activity with Dulce et Decorum Est by Wilfred Owen. Bent double, like old beggars under sacks, knock-kneed, coughing like hags, we cursed through sludge, till on the haunted flares we turned our backs, and towards our distant rest began to trudge. Men marched asleep, many had lost their boots, but limped on. For you to organize once again into groups of 3, and what you'll do in these groups is that you will analyze the poem, and I will give various stanza of the poem to each group. And what you'll do is you will come up and you'll mime the poem. All right? So it means you'll do the actions that you think will portray the actions that is taking place in the poem. For the persons working online, you can make your video, miming the stanza that is sent to you, and then send that in. Miming that poem helped you, didn't it? Because as you were performing the actions, I'm sure that an image of what was taking place in the poem started to be formed in your mind. Am I correct? Yes, exactly. And so now with all you would have done with this poem, Dulce et Decorum Est, hearing it being read to you, which helped to create images in your mind, miming the actions, which also helped to fortify those images. What do you think that poem is about? Yes, Charles. You think it's about men at war? All right, good. Jonathan? You think it's about people for class today? I would like for you to write a 30 words paragraph commenting on the effectiveness of each device that is present in the poem Dulce et Decorum Est. So students, what you'll do is you'll use this graphic organizer as a reference to help guide you in writing your 30 words paragraph. So the first step you'll take in writing your paragraph is that you'll identify lines in the poem that contains examples of imagery. When you would have finished doing that, the second thing you'll do, students, is that you'll state what figurative device or devices is used to create imagery in the poem. Once you would have finished that, the third step and final step is that you will explain how imagery helped you to understand the meaning of the selected lines. You can go ahead and get working on this. You have 20 minutes to complete this task. Cassie Gomes would have sent in her response to us online, so she would have completed the task. And let's just examine it to ensure that Cassie would have done all that we were expecting for her to do. She says, in line 2 of the poem, Dulce et Decorum Est, the writer states that the soldiers were knock-kneed, coughing like hags. Yes, that's in line 2. Mr. Owens uses simile to compare the men to old, ugly women. Good. So she noted the device that was present in the poem. So very good. It helps us to see the picture of soldiers who had lost their youth and masculinity because of the war. And here she comments on the effectiveness of it. Good job, Cassie. Well done. Let's give her a nice hand. Now that we've come to the end of today's lesson, I have one final activity for you to do before you leave class today. I have in my hand some exit tickets, and it's exactly what it sounds like. So before you leave class today, you have to fill out this ticket and give it to me in order for you to be able to exit the classroom. For the persons working online, we have 3 persons who volunteered to share their responses with us after they would have finished completing their exit tickets. We have Roy Thompson, David Sinanan, and Ray Walker. So we have these 3 persons. Let's see what Roy Thompson wrote. On his exit ticket, he has, I have learned that we experience imagery through our 5 senses. When asked what he still needs help with, Roy said he needs help with identifying figurative devices, and he circled the smiley face that showed that he had a fair understanding of today's lesson. Let's look at David Sinanan. She says, I learned that devices like simile and onomatopoeia are used to create. As you leave, take all that you would have learned about imagery and ensure that you apply these things to your life daily. So that when you read, you will allow these books, these novels, these poems to take you places you've never been before using your imagination. All right? Do remember also to collect your entrance ticket for next week's class.